You look nervous.
Take two.
Take two.
Take two.
Ready?
Yeah, I wasn't sure what I was gonna say. Take two. I was like, how long do I need to wait?
Nope, you're good. So hello everyone, this is the Just Love Project. I'm Kaden, and our another interview with a fellow queer community member. I said this last time, but you guys didn't know that I said this last time, so we're gonna pretend that you didn't know that I said it. But I am particularly excited for this interview because this lovely human is one of my bestest friends. And we have a lot of good
Demi,
conversations. In me.
Demi,
Um,
Demi.
we have a lot of good conversations off record. And so selfishly, I obviously wanted her to apply, but I was waiting for her to do it. And she finally did
How
it. So
long did
she's,
you wait for that?
it was at least probably maybe a week max.
No, it was like 3 weeks. You're giving me way too much credit. It was at least 3 weeks.
Yeah, but so she finally did apply. And I take that to heart because it's one thing to have this passion project, but it's another thing to have people you love and care about join in and be a part of it. So thank you for joining. And without further ado, I'm introducing my bestest friend, Tiffany Page.
Desmi, hi.
that's,
Uh,
that's me.
yep. I'm just gonna continue saying Desmi every time you say my name because
Okay.
that's what I do.
That's fine.
Can't even act like it's not normal at this point.
This is true. But before we get into the nitty-gritty, introduce yourself, who you are, how you identify, and a little bit about your queer journey summed up before we get into the details.
Well, you already said I identify as Tiffany Page, your best friend. That's true. That will never change. Um, no, so I am a woman, a bisexual woman. I can't even remember how I identify. Look, I've been so distracted because we've been laughing for the past 15 minutes. It's crazy. Um, So I am a bisexual woman. I have explored the possibility of polyamory, and sort of know where I stand with that. I have only really been out of the closet for 3 or 4 years, um, but with a specific person, I've only been out of the closet for 6, 7 months. 7 months. It's been a relatively new thing.
hmm so what's the difference? What was the difference for you with the initial 3 to 4 years and now going into the recent coming out? What was that process like starting before with the 3 to 4 years ago and then now leading into the most recent time you came out?
So 3 to 4 years ago, that one was fun. At that point, I came out to people who knew before I did. That's an experience that you hear about pretty often, actually,
Hmm.
surprisingly often. And I'll never forget it because I came to her and said that I thought at the time that I was bisexual, like 60-40, 60 men, 40 women. Um, and she goes, I know. And I'm like, the fuck you mean you know? Like, what do you mean you know? But at the same time, like before that, my mom had already even asked me if I was gay. Like it's just I denied it because I thought it was not true. Joke's on me. So that one was pretty easy. After that, I didn't specifically like come out. I just sort of existed. Just didn't hide it from anybody except for one person in particular. That one person was my father. Very ultra conservative man. Had no clue how he was going to take it. I even had a whole 5-month relationship where it was just easier to not talk to him at all than to talk to him about that.
Yeah.
Um, so it is a situation where I finally did it because it was going to be necessary. I was talking to someone who was significantly more important to me than the person I had been in a relationship with prior, and their comfort was more important than keeping my comfort by keeping my mouth shut here.
Mhm.
So I wanted to make sure that their requests were respected by him, and in order to do that, he had to know in advance.
Right.
So I wanted to make sure I gave him time to sort of process through that before the possibility of them needing to actually interact in person. Um, and he actually took it a lot better than I did. That conversation ended up being an almost 2 hour conversation in my car. I think it was like an hour and 45 minutes, where we touched a little bit on everything under the sun. He asked questions that I don't think he was comfortable asking, but he did. And we sort of, I think the thing we touched on most in that conversation related to the LGBTQ community was non-binary. The conversation of identifying as non-binary, utilizing they, them pronouns, etc., which is not something that I have ever been, but it is something that I have frequently been in contact with. So I am aware of the situations.
Yeah, you kind of had like a knowledge enough to kind of answer the questions that he had.
Yeah, yeah, like between
Mhm.
you and the person I was talking to at the time, and then also between past people I had spoken to as well. Like the 5 month relationship, they used mostly she, they pronouns because there
Mhm.
was a sense of non-binary in there as well.
Mhm. Do you feel like when you talk to other people, aka me and your previous partner, and you're learning about other things within the queer community, do you ever feel like you're learning more about yourself and your experience along the way?
Sometimes, not 110%. So like with the non-binary, not necessarily.
Mm,
Because while I don't necessarily feel like society's idea of a woman, right?
right.
Like I often tell people, I am a woman, not a lady, because I don't behave ladylike at all. Like I curse like a sailor, I belch like a man, like nothing about me is ladylike. But I've never personally felt inclined to like not be comfortable referring to myself
Mhm.
as a woman or like with femininity attached. But I do when it comes to like some other things, I can definitely see it. Like we've sort of talked a little bit about this, and I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about this. Pansexual.
Mhm.
I often question if that should be my label versus bisexual. Because I'm not necessarily a no for anyone, right? Like if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Um, I think I've actually, the more I learn about demisexual, I lean towards that. Um, but it's like, where do you draw lines and why do we need to draw lines? Because what's the point of really drawing a line when you can just be yourself?
Yeah. I think the lines in my personal experience, the lines are more for those who aren't necessarily in the community,
That's
and it
fair.
creates a way for them to understand.
Hmm. That's fair.
Is just what I personally have kind of learned and seen.
Hmm.
So since you brought up pansexuality, in your brain,
Yes.
in your self definition, what would the difference between bisexuality and pansexuality? What does that mean for you specifically?
Oh, I don't even know if I have the answer to that question. I used to have the answer to that question, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and like, I gotta be honest, this was back before I even knew you existed. This is
Mm-hmm.
2020, okay? Like, I remember getting into this absolute blowout argument with my boyfriend at the time.
Mm,
Boyfriend at the time. Anyway, blowout argument about the difference between like bisexuality and pansexuality. And at the time, the way I understood it was like traditional male female versus the inclusion of people who are trans, non-binary, etc.
mm-hmm.
So like pansexual meant the inclusion of the trans community, including gender fluid, non-binary. But bisexual excluded those. But I don't I guess I don't really believe that way anymore. And like I see a lot of things um that like make me question extra hard because like a TikTok that I've seen recently like explained it as like um bisexuals like they incorporate, you know, the anatomy to it, right? Like
Mm,
bisexuals um love their partner including specifically their anatomy, but like pansexuals love their partner regardless of anatomy
mm,
is I think the one that like has hit with me the hardest.
mhm,
But I don't really know. That's one of those things where I'm still up in the air. I don't know where I fit. I don't know what I would even like distinguish as the difference between the two. I really think a lot of people are up in the air on that one,
And I
if I'm
think,
being honest.
I mean, I think just you saying that at all is important for other people to hear because I've I've said it before in several conversations when I said it in take one of our interview, and I will say it again here, is that I won't say we, I'll speak in my experience, have been working so hard to get out of these binary boxes while also creating myself more boxes.
Don't get me started on the boxes, man. Don't do
So
it.
we don't have to
That's a
go into
trap.
it. That could be a whole other thing. But
Don't,
like,
that's a trap and a half.
I think it's important to acknowledge the fact that even though we are in the queer community, we aren't going to know everything.
Mhm.
Like, we're still also learning. Like, I identify as trans now, sure. But when I was still going through all the questioning and like feeling like a freak, I didn't even know what transgender was.
When you
So
were going through the pipeline.
when I was going through the pipeline, yes, Paige here likes to say that I went through the
Do I need to say
softball.
it? The
Yes, please.
softball Spider-Man trans man pipeline.
Yes, I went through the pipeline. I went through the whole journey. So I think if you're someone who's listening who you still don't know how you even want to identify and things like that, it's okay. Take your time, figure out what it means for you because another thing I like to stress is everybody's journey is so different and so unique to them.
I mean, you can think about it this way too. Like, that's not even specific to the LGBTQ community, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
everybody's constantly learning. You're always
Exactly.
encountering things that you don't know. And like,
Yes, for sure.
what is important is what you do with that encounter, right? Like you can either take what you don't know and like fight against it tooth and nail, like I don't like this.
Mm.
That's a choice. Or you can take the time to learn about it.
Yeah. Education is power because then you can make an educated decision.
Knowledge is
Or
power. Sounds like I've said that before.
couldn't possibly be you. um Staying on the bisexual conversation, we have privately talked about bi-erasure, and I know that's something that you mentioned in your application as well.
Mhm.
So, can you share kind of what that looks like for you personally, what you've seen, things like that?
Yeah, so this was actually before I was even out, before I even considered myself a part of this community outside of just being an ally. Um, for work, I work in higher education. And as someone who works in higher education, we have to have knowledge on how to use inclusive language and provide a safe space for people of all genders, of all identifications, so to speak. So we have to take what's called a safe zone training. And I think I took the safe zone training in 2019-ish. And the person who was handling the training, I absolutely adore her. Always will. And she was the first one who mentioned bi-erasure, and it was in this training. Because she brought up that like a lot of people outside of the community hear bisexual or like think about like a bisexual individual as someone who is just questioning or experimenting or unsure, as if that's not just like something you can be, like as
Right.
if you can't possibly be sure that you like both. And at the time, I hadn't really thought about it like that. Because, I probably also at the time considered it just questioning or experimenting, but, I also hadn't had a whole lot of experience. But looking back, like, I've had experience with both. And I can absolutely say that I fit in the bisexual category here.
Hmm.
So it's something that I guess I didn't really understand as much until I experienced it, like until I had, so to say, experimented or questioned. Um, but after that point, I'm like, oh, wait, she was right. She was right. You don't have to just be experimenting. You
Hmm.
can know.
Yeah. Do you ever feel like there's even by erasure, even within the LGBT community? Hello? Even
Hello?
with it,
Words?
even within,
English?
yeah, we speak English here.
Do we?
Sometimes.
Could have fooled me.
But do you feel like there is also by erasure not only outside the community, but also within the queer community as well?
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely. So, like, I'm gonna trying to think of a good example. And you know what? I think the person you interviewed last, Holly,
Hmm.
she's married. Was that, or she was married? Is
She's
that?
married. Yep.
Yeah,
She is in a heterosexual presenting relationship.
exactly. Exhibit A. I was like, I'm pretty sure I remember that from the last interview, but I could be wrong. So correct
Hmm.
me if I'm wrong. But like situations like that, someone would probably look at her and assume she's straight, right? And like
Hmm.
someone would probably look at me if I was in a relationship with a man and assume I'm straight. And like that works to my benefit. I'm not gonna lie to you, that works to my benefit in situations like now. Because being straight presenting, nobody fucking knows unless I tell them.
Right.
But at the same time, it also can be kind of disrespectful to just assume that I'm just a straight individual when maybe I'm not. You don't know until you have a conversation with me and ask. Like you don't really know, so why assume? But
Hmm.
yes, you see it from everybody. You see it from not only the outside, but you also see it from the inside. Like, I've seen, lesbians on TikTok shooting down a bisexual person because they're married to a man, or even lesbians shooting down a bisexual person because they're married to a woman. Oh, you must be a lesbian. You're married to a woman. No, I'm bisexual.
Hmm.
I, I'm picking on the lesbians here. Don't worry. That's just because that's where I typically see it most in the queer community,
Hmm.
because those are the people that I see the most.
Yeah, I saw it a lot personally when I was going, I like to call it my non-binary era. I was struggling with identifying as a lesbian while also identifying as non-binary because what I
Mm,
was seeing online was non-binaries who were identifying as lesbian were just getting reamed left and right, saying, "Oh, well, how are you going to identify this way when you're also non-binary?"
right.
So,
Like, how are you going to identify as a woman who loves women if you won't even identify as a woman? Like, that's just,
mhm.
I can see it, but it's really, really assumptive and really, really not productive, if you
Hmm.
ask me.
We get enough critiquing from the outside world. We don't need to be doing it to each other.
Correct.
Because like even beyond like by erasure within the transgender community specifically, as a trans man, I'm seeing trans men choose bottom surgery, and there's also trans men choosing not to have bottom surgery. And then those two groups want to fight each other, saying, well, if you don't
But like,
want this,
why?
right, like
But
that's what I'm
like,
saying.
why?
We're on
That's
the
their
same
choice.
team, man.
I want to know why you even like bothered to like worry about whether they did. You know what I'm saying? Like what made you decide to
Hmm.
ask this other, unless there was a relation, like a romantic interest. Like
Right.
if there was a romantic interest, by all means. But like outside of a romantic interest, why were you asking this man what he has in his pants?
That's true.
I feel that way about a lot of things though.
Yeah. I
But I'm
mean,
also at the same time an open book. So it's like it's
this is
weird.
very true.
It's weird. Like you could ask me that question without hesitation, I would answer you. But at the same
Hmm.
time, if you are going to fight about it with somebody else, I'm going to ask, why did you even ask?
Yeah.
If you just wanted to fight about it, why did you even ask?
Yep. That's true. That's very true. Speaking about your open bookness,
Oh God. I am an open book. Terrifying.
it's it might be terrifying, but it's also powerful. Um,
I
and
don't know what that means.
well, you mentioned earlier as well, and we've had, I feel like, several conversations about polyamory. And one big question that I know I personally get and that I've seen other people ask is what is like in your experience, um, what would be the biggest misconception that people have about polyamory specifically, or just non-monogamy relationships?
Are you okay over there? Are you
I
having a
was,
stroke? Do I
I
need to
was,
send
I
help?
was trying to. Almost said situationship, but I didn't want to call it that because just because you're in a polyamorous relationship doesn't mean it's a situation.
That's true.
So basically, what has been a biggest misconception that you have either personally dealt with or you've seen happen when it comes to being in a polyamorous relationship?
I mean, I think the thing that gets me the most when it
Mm,
comes to that is watching people from the outside pass judgment,
mm,
which like you're gonna find out that I have complaints about that all across the board. Don't get me wrong, I can be judgy myself. I will call myself out on that, but I don't typically let that like actually hold any weight, right?
mm,
But it becomes a problem for me when like you see a couple in whatever relationship dynamic that they have, whether it is an open relationship or like a throuple or like whatever you want or whatever they have going on, and passing judgment on that without being a part of the relationship. That I feel like is the biggest issue.
mm,
I feel like that's the biggest problem. Like I've seen it happen where like a couple opened their relationship and it went well for a while until it didn't. And people on the outside passed judgment on one person or the other
mm,
because of how it went down. But realistically, that's their relationship, right? If it was going to be an issue, that's a situation where they should have communicated. And the fact that they didn't, that's their problem, right?
mm,
Like, you can sit there and you can say, oh, well, that's not something that I want. Great. Make sure that you are more effective at communicating if that's something that you decide to dive into. But, like, don't pass judgment on a situation without all of the information. And typically, unless you are in the relationship, you're not going to have all of the
right.
information. So, I mean, my first experience with polyamory was actually pretty manipulative, if I'm to be completely honest. It was a situation where an individual referred to themselves as poly, but really didn't hold up the communication that's required for poly. And that's like important because like we had had the conversation about like if that was something I was comfortable with and I had expressed to him I would be comfortable with it up to this point, no farther. And then when it exploded over the fact that he was still sneaking around doing things behind my back and another person's back. And that's not healthy, right?
Mm-hmm,
Like there's a way to be non-monogamous, and that is not it.
mm-hmm,
I've also had a situationship with someone who's more legitimately polyamorous. Like I've gone to events with them and their spouse. Like I've seen both of them. I know both of them, and he has behaved the same way in front of her that he does without her around. And like that's reassuring to see, right? Because that tells me that she knows, right?
mm-hmm,
That she's comfortable with it, that he doesn't have anything to hide. And I feel like that's definitely healthier.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's all about communication. Figure out what you're comfortable with, what you're not comfortable with, set your boundaries. But then you got to follow through with those too, which is something I'm not very good at in most circumstances.
Do you feel like opening your world to polyamory has, in a way, changed your view on commitment and partnership in general as a whole? Or do you feel like it kind of opened your eyes to the type of relationships you do want?
Sort of, yeah. I mean, like, having to think about it really makes you think about a lot of things, right? So, like, I
Mm-hmm.
had to think about, what I would be comfortable with. And, like, I I am, I like to refer to myself as high maintenance, emotionally high maintenance, that is. Not necessarily materialistically high maintenance, but I have a lot of emotions and you're
Mm-hmm.
gonna have to deal with a lot. So there's a point where I wouldn't be comfortable with it because like what I discovered is like I could do someone who's interested in short-term relationships. That's fine. They come and go,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. But I couldn't do someone who's interested in maintaining two separate long-term relationships because at that point for me it would feel like I have to compete for your time and attention, right? Like I
Mm-hmm.
have to compete to have that um emotional like need met. Whereas with like short-term relationships, that's not necessarily the case, right? Because you go out and you're, enjoying your short-term relationship, but in the end, you're gonna come home and it's going to be to me. Right? So like there's a difference
Mm-hmm.
there. Um, but there was a period, and I still not really outside of that period, where I sort of like got rid of the idea that I have to be married to be committed to somebody. So I realized that I really don't. Like I am an insanely loyal person. And I absolutely could commit myself to somebody without the paper. And honestly, while there are benefits to it, in this day and age, it seems a lot cheaper to do that.
Right.
Financially, there are benefits. Um, but it's just, I don't know. It did allow me to sort of explore what I'm comfortable with and what I'm not comfortable with, in a way that I really hadn't before.
So opened your eyes pretty largely to how,
To myself,
yeah.
actually, more than
Mm-hmm.
anything. Like, you already know that a lot of this stuff goes on in the world, but like you have to figure out where you fit into it.
Right. Well, or how it fits into you, if at all.
Hey, yo.
Hey, all right. We're gonna leave that in. Ayo.
Hey, yo.
We're
Look
12. It's
at you.
fine. It's fine. That's funny.
Think you're recording this or anything. That's crazy.
That was good. Um, that's crazy with how I'm about to segue this too. Um,
I'm so terrified for what's about to happen now.
well, I wanted to, you mentioned that you had a lot of emotions and that you're a big open book or whatever. And so I was gonna ask, like, with everything that's going on currently in the world and stuff that happens in your personal life and stuff like that, what's a good
Mhm.
way that you stay grounded, so to speak, and how you find hope with all this stuff that's going
That's a
on?
that's a funny joke.
Yeah.
Uh, honestly, it's been really hard. Therapy.
Mhm.
Shout out Cassandra.
Mother.
No, for real though. Um, it has been really hard.
Mhm.
I was multiple therapy sessions a week for a little bit there. And honestly, sometimes I think the only thing that gets me going is music.
Mm.
At this point, I feel like that is what keeps me going. I mean, friendship, obviously, but my music is something that like I can I can pull out and listen to even when I don't have somebody that I can talk to,
Mm-hmm.
right? And like I even started, as you are aware, journaling using music. So like taking songs that like evoke big feelings or like lyrics that I relate to and like writing down the lyrics in the journal and then writing down my feelings about the lyric, to sort of connect with that music a little bit more and sort of find out why it
Mm-hmm.
feels so deep. Um, that being said, I believe I did this in the last one. Who knows? I don't, it was 2 weeks ago. Was it? Was it? I don't think it was 2 weeks
I
ago.
don't think it was 2 weeks ago.
My time is always off. But there's actually a place in the Discord, for music journaling as well. I have yet
Mm-hmm.
to post in there, but that's mostly because my shit is deep in my music journal. I don't know that you all are prepared for that. So, but by all means, if there's a song that like you really connect with and you want to explore that connection through words, absolutely drop it in the
Mm-hmm.
Discord, drop the song. You can drop the words, or if you want to keep those to yourself, that's fine as well.
Mm-hmm. What's a song that you've been resonating deeply with currently?
Currently.
Mm-hmm. And I don't mean one that you just jam and bop to. I mean
Oh, you mean
e-
not stay? Got it.
one that's emotionally resonating for you right now.
Um, there's a couple. There's two Fletcher songs that are the first things that come to my mind right now. Chaos and All Love. Both of those have been pretty much on repeat lately. And I feel them pretty intensely, but like it's been a year of healing, so we've listened. I say we've listened because you have listened to it with me a lot. But I've listened to a lot of Kelsey Ballerini. She has gotten me through so much this year. Um, and also Home 3. Shout out to them. Their live shows I connect with a lot. And so listening brings me a lot of joy, which sort of works in countering all of the
Mm-hmm.
negative emotions I'm feeling all the time.
Do you feel like after you journal or feel your feelings, do you ever feel very empowered afterwards?
Sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I just feel really drained, to be
That's
completely
fair.
honest.
That's fair. Emotions
Like
are
a
tend to
lot
be
of
draining.
people, yeah, a lot of people like to complain about like how draining friendships with emotional people are, but it's like if you're drained by their emotions, just consider the fact that like they can't escape from that like you can,
Mm,
right? Like if my emotions drain you, imagine what they do to me.
yeah, that's for sure.
It's a struggle.
Yeah. Well, I that's why I like to use the spoon theory.
Hmm.
You
I have
know,
noticed you using that more recently.
yeah, the spoon theory for those who are wondering is, with spoons you scoop, and how much energy can you scoop with spoons? And
I
then
don't know
once
why that was so funny to me, but it just was.
you're
With
welcome.
spoons, you scoop.
With spoons you scoop.
Okay,
Um,
hold on. I'm gonna derail this really quick
go
because
for
we're
it.
talking about spoons. So I have to ask. I have to
Uh-huh.
ask.
Go for it.
What size spoons do you scoop with? Little spoons or big spoons?
Um, I don't know if it's the neurodivergent in me, but I like little spoons.
Same.
I
This is why we're
love
best
little
friends.
spoon. I love little spoons. They're so satisfying.
Hmm.
But you once you're scooping with the spoons, and then that requires energy, right? So then you can no longer reuse that for another energy source or whatever. And then so I've been speaking when somebody asks me to do something or whatever, I'll be like, I have enough spoons for this much. Or I quite
Yeah, I
frankly
mean, you've told
don't
me this week that you don't have enough spoons for things.
I
So,
don't have enough spoons. So it's also a neat way to communicate with people without diving into things. If you don't have the spoons to dive into them, because sometimes just speaking it alone is draining, which is what I imagine you feel after you journal after music.
yeah, which
Um,
is weird because
yeah.
like when I'm speaking about, and that's something that actually I would like to look into a little bit because like when I'm actually talking about it with somebody and like they're able to like bounce things back to me and have an active conversation about
Mm-hmm.
it, it doesn't feel quite as draining as it does when I'm just writing about it. And I think that's because all of the thought is my own, right? Like all
Mm.
of everything that goes into it is my own, right? If I am able to have a conversation with somebody about it, I'm able to spit something out, express what I'm feeling, and they're able to come back at me with, "Oh, well, have you considered this?" Is usually what happens, right?
Mm.
And coming back at me with, "Oh, well, have you considered this?" is typically very good at like calming down the emotion in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
Bet you didn't think you were getting a therapy lesson today. That's crazy. Um,
It's allowed.
so like calming down the emotion or like the anxiety around it,
Mm.
right? If they're like, "Oh, well, have you considered this as a possible other option?" No, I hadn't. And now maybe that makes me feel a little bit better about it. Maybe it makes me feel a little bit worse, but that's not common. Um, so it's like different things require different energy or as you say different amount of spoons.
Yes.
I would say personally journaling for me requires a big spoon and I hate big spoons. Uh, while having a conversation with somebody typically requires a smaller spoon.
So you realize I'm gonna use this against you, right? That the next
I hate
time
it here.
you call me loud, I'm gonna say, remember, you said you prefer this.
I do. I do prefer it, even when you're loud and it makes me angry. Uh, let's be honest, that happens a lot. Um,
For context, everybody that is listening, what we mean when she says that I'm being loud, what is happening in the conversation means I am saying something that she knows is true, but she doesn't want to hear right now.
I didn't want to hear it.
So she calls it loud or being mean or
I'm
whatever.
trying to think of like a publicly acceptable situation where I've called you loud recently, but
Publicly acceptable is crazy.
listen, I've been going through it the past few months. Not everything is publicly acceptable without
That's
hurting some
fair.
feelings.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Um, that's
Publicly
great.
acceptable.
Put that on a t-shirt. um,
Let's do it.
we can. Um, but you also, I feel like with your emotions, I consider them, I mean, brain, let's focus on one thought right now, please. Meow. um, I feel like you comment on your emotions being a lot for you and that they're a lot to deal with. However, I disagree, and I might be biased because I'm your best friend. Um,
That's crazy.
because I feel like because your emotions are so big and so loud, it
Hayden Paige, I
for
swear to God, if you make me cry right now.
I'm not trying. I'm just being sincere. Damn it. Um,
Anyway, continue.
because they're so big and you feel them in such an abundance way, I feel like that empowers you in a way to support other people. And I say that speaking from experience because I would be going through something and you would be able to highlight it in a different way because you have such powerful emotions that you can highlight it in a different way.
It's so crazy because like that's always the intention, but it doesn't always work out that way. You know what I'm saying?
That's fair.
Like I try to use my big emotions to help people,
Hmm.
but at the same time, uh sometimes I just can't function like that.
That's also fair.
Sometimes the big emotions get the best of me.
Yeah. Well, I also feel like speaking from experience of you, that sometimes you will put your feelings behind to support
Every time.
other people's feelings.
Sometimes is an under exaggeration. Like it's every time. I don't. This is why Cassandra is here. Like this is the entire reason Cassandra exists is because the
Mm.
real answer to that is every time. And I swear to God, you better clip that so I can send it to
I mean, we can send her the whole link, man. Like she can get all of it. Which, if you can't figure it out, we support therapy.
her. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Therapy kings and queens and
Non-binary pals
non-bi.
because you
That's
just messed it up.
well,
You just
my brain was like guys, gals, and non-binary pals, but I was like, wait, how do I turn this into a kings, queens
You don't. I
thing?
don't I don't
So
know that you can.
we got to figure that out. We'll work on it for
We'll
you.
do some research.
Yeah, we'll figure something out. Um,
Journal about it a little bit.
yeah, do some debriefing. Um, but all that to say, does it ever, when you're supporting somebody else, do you ever like in a way support yourself through supporting somebody else? Like, have you ever had a moment where you're, for me, for example, like when you're helping me, has there ever been a moment in helping me in turn also helped you and you were like, well, shit, I have to listen to me as well?
I kind of hate you for this question, if I'm being completely honest,
You're welcome.
because
Love you too.
the real answer is yes, but also no. Because
Mm,
I do often realize that. I do often realize when like I give you advice that that's advice I should take, and then I just don't do it.
I
So, in a sense, I realize my own hypocrisy through
mm,
helping people like you.
that's fair. That's
I realize, oh shit, that would have been an easier way to handle this, but it's already over.
I feel like that's so common though, because like
You
we'll
know
go
why?
we'll go to
I can,
war for other people, but the
I
moment we need
can,
to do it for us, mm-mm.
I mean, in my situation, typically it's like I am giving you the advice after I have fucked it up. So what I would say, I could sum it up in like a little brief, well-known phrase,
Mm,
hindsight 2020. Hindsight is absolutely 2020.
mm,
But you know, there
crazy.
are situations where like I come into something and like advice that I had given you would have been useful. And you know what? Some days you're loud because you throw that advice right back in my face. I don't like those days. But they happen. Um, I see it. I do see it.
Mm,
Whether or not I choose to follow my own advice though is the trickier question.
yeah, I mean, I I started to say it a little bit earlier, but I don't feel like you're alone in that
Yeah.
because I could be spilling out great stuff to you, might I add. I'm pretty proud of myself sometimes when I share things with you. And then when I go back and reread sometimes, I'm like, oh, this was actually me projecting a little bit probably, and I should listen to this.
I'm curious if this is publicly acceptable to you. Publicly appropriate.
If it's not, I can cut it out.
It's so funny. We actually had a conversation about that this week, where I went back and I used your own words against you.
We talk
You're,
about a
I see you
lot of
picking your
things.
brain.
As I say, we talk about so many things all the time. So it's hard to know which one you're talking about.
Um, the part where you felt like I could get those things that I get from you from other people.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, your boy was sad.
Is that publicly appropriate to you? Because we could definitely like that ties into this very, very well.
I mean, we could, but we could also expand on that
That's true.
in another event.
You're right. We could add it to the list.
We'll do a take 3
Take me!
and we can dive into that.
How many
But
takes are
yes,
we gonna do, man?
I don't know. I mean, your mic has been sounding fantastic, so
Thank you.
you're welcome. Anyway, let's get back on track here a little bit.
What's
Um,
that?
what does that mean? Who's that? Um, when someone has come to you and we can, I feel like,
Ayo.
I feel like, anyway, that wraps up our show for today. We're done.
That's the
uh,
budget.
that's the budget. That's it. That's all we got time for.
Oh,
Um,
you can't afford any more jokes.
nope, can't afford. Too expensive. Too expensive. Um, gonna start to round this out here. Um, if someone right now is listening and they're struggling, whether it's they're bi, they're poly, or they're just overall questioning, what is the one thing that you would want to tell them right now?
We're 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 back to this.
We are, which you that means you also know what happens after this question.
And
Mm-hmm.
I'm even less prepared than I was last time, remind you.
Yep.
Um, so we're gonna go back to the same thing
Mm-hmm.
that I mentioned last time, and the question is, I think a lot of times when you're questioning, the worry is that like whatever decision you make has to be the final decision, right? Like you have to know what you're deciding when you're deciding it because you can't change it. Um, it's permanent, so to speak. But my question that has been really standing out to me lately, and I'm also going to give some credit to Cassandra for this one, um, is what's permanent? Like if you really think about it, what's permanent? Like sure, you can say Sharpies, permanent markers, but those aren't permanent. There's so many hacks for getting permanent marker out of things. Um, there's even like concrete, one of the most durable things I feel like, right? Like you can break it down with a jackhammer or even some really, really hard wind and rain.
Yeah.
So like realistically, if you make a decision on how to identify or how to label yourself and it changes later, what is wrong about that, right? Like, why did it need to be more permanent than anything else? It's my thought.
Hit the first time and it hit the second time.
Listen, I was on a mission that first time to make you emotional, and like at this point, I already knew it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, because I heard
But
it
you
already.
almost made me cry earlier. I was not prepared for that shit.
You're welcome.
What can I say except you're welcome?
Um, which leads to the final question. You're, we'll go with a diner this time. You're going to a diner, gonna order some good pancakes,
Listen, that's our
waffles,
thing. I can't do that with myself. That's our friendship.
but wouldn't this person that I'm gonna include in this question have also been there at our breakfasts?
Maybe
Breakfasts?
it's possible. Did you invite them? Because I probably wouldn't have.
I probably would have invited you in any form, any shape or form. You're at a diner, you're having breakfast. I'm gonna keep going with it.
Okay, do it.
You know, you're ordering your water and stuff like that.
You're gonna get my
Younger.
whole order right? Is that what's happening here?
See, the last thing we had together, you had three pancakes with, I think they were like a cinnamon roll type pancake.
I love the cinnamon roll pancakes.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
a sucker for cinnamon roll
Um,
pancakes.
you're at a diner, you're ordering your food, your drink, stuff like that, and then younger you sits in front of you. Can be baby you, can be middle school you. You know what you is in front of you. They need to hear one thing from you. What is that one thing?
All right, I'm changing it up.
All right.
As much as I loved the idea of telling me to listen to my mother more because she tends to be right about
Mm,
therapy and about being gay. She, called everything before I knew. Um, I think honestly what this me still even needs to hear is just three words. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
You are enough.
Mm,
I didn't hear it much growing up, and hearing it now still doesn't feel real. So I guess I'm hoping the more I hear it, the more normal it'll feel because it's not normal for me. Um, so I think just those three words.
well, in case you needed to hear it right now, you are enough.
Don't make It's a wrap.
it's, it's a wrap. We're done. Cut it. Cut it. Well, we can't cut it yet
Ah,
because For those
Not even if I
watching,
cry.
not even if you cry. Emotions are allowed. Emotions are valid. You're allowed to have emotions because it makes you human.
What if I don't want to be human?
That's fair, but also you are.
We're going to
Um,
sea. I'm gonna sing a
uh,
sea shanty.
no.
Bring that into part two too.
No, no, no. If you noticed how often we get derailed in these conversations,
Normal.
there's that's normal, and we're gonna give you more. Because this lovely human has decided to join me on an extension of this, so to speak. These are just gonna be an addition. We are going to start our own podcast where we will answer the Q for Q questions that you guys submit. We'll kind of dive in more deeper into stuff that happens for us and our emotions and things like that, and just anything and everything. I know we have a few TikToks that we're going to address that we found online that are pretty big conversations. I feel that'll happen.
A little controversial, if
Little,
I do say so myself.
I wouldn't even say little, man. Like, it's going
Hmm.
to be big. But
That's what
before
she
we get
said.
into me, um, but before we start doing those things, she is going to interview me, and that is kind of going to be our introductory into our little spin-off series that we're going to do together. So the next interview you will see will first obviously be her interview, and then after that you will see mine, and then we're going to start getting into the nitty-gritty deep stuff. And it's going to be great. It's going to be fun. And you almost said
I
that's what
just
she
have
said.
to ask, what was that?
I don't know. I go
When
into
you
weird
go back and rewatch this, just ask yourself, what was that face that you made
jokes
before
on
you said
you.
the nitty gritty?
Jokes on you. I ask myself that anytime I go back and watch me anywhere, anywhere. I will be like, what am I doing? Why am I doing that? What is this?
Just your face as you go into the nitty gritty deep stuff was crazy, and it just sent me.
It'll be
I
a good
was
meme.
I
It's
was
fine.
done.
Um,
That's
but
beautiful.
anyway,
Make a GIF out of it.
absolutely. Did you say GIF? That'll be a podcast topic right there. Is it GIF or GIF?
You don't
Anyway,
say giraffe.
anyway, looking forward to the further conversations that we're about to have. Crazy. But thank you all for joining. We will see you next time if we both live that long. Anyway, adios.